Thank you for joining me today. And today we're going to be reading from the Book of Love, and we're going to be talking about the chapter on perspective. So, on this journey, perspective is everything. Like, it is a huge part of your journey. So, obviously, your perspective needs to be built around things that are strong and firm and that uplift you, keep you moving forward. If your perspective makes you shrink down, makes you have fear, contract, you feel like you need to protect yourself, then your perspective is more than likely based around fear. So get in this perspective that empowers you. So because we have choice as human beings, that's what throws people off, because you have so many choices, so many perspectives you can see something as. And typically when something negative happens, you're going to look at it, your perspective is going to be negative because of that situation. So let me give you an example of this, how I use my perspective in a not so good way at that time. It wasn't well, it did kind of benefit me to a certain degree, but let me just go ahead and get into it. So as I said before, I served 20 years in the military, and in that time, I worked in the hospital. So one of the jobs that I had was an aeromedical evacuation technician. So you're just a medical technician, but you're working in the plane with the patients instead of in the hospital. So I did this for 6 years. And in that time frame, I served like all three wars that were going on at that time. So OIF, OEF, and the AFRICOM mission. So this particular mission was a OEF mission, so Enduring Freedom. So we were going to Afghanistan. So when we're flying in to get these patients, you do take on, they're shooting at you. So they are shooting on takeoff and landing. And then you'll go to these different, your intel briefs, which does not help. And they're telling you where these different helicopters got shot down and this plane was shot at here and this, that. You're like, that's the path we're going. So yeah, this sucks. Okay, thanks. So now you're thinking about this the entire trip, right? So this one particular mission, we landed, we got our patients, and it was in the middle of the night because that's where we always get our patients. So it's like maybe 2 a.m, or who knows what time it was. But so it's dark out. So as we're taking off, and I want you to imagine, like about 2 o'clock in the morning. It's dark out at 2 o'clock in the morning, right? So, and I was flying on a C-130. So when you're on a C-130, there's not many windows on a C-130. So it's only in certain locations. And so it's not like you can just look over your shoulder and look out the window. So we have, when you're taking off, all the lights are off, and it's like a little red light they have on inside the plane. So you can see if we need to do anything with patients and this, that, and the other. So, but you can't see it from the outside. So, and the outside, it's like pitch black. For the portholes, you can see. So just imagine that you're taking off, and like I said, it's pitch black. And imagine the sun comes up in 1 second. That's what the experience was. It was like boom. It was like bright instantly. And automatically, I knew that meant they shot off the flares because it was so bright outside. And you're only shooting off flares when you're under a rocket attack. So now, like I said, you don't have a window. So now I'm gripping my seat because I don't know if we're bracing for impact. Something's about to hit us or what. So nothing happens, right? So, okay. So now, after this, I have to process this event. so now I see it as, I would use it as the perspective of, you know what? True to a certain degree, but I went a little too far with it. I was like, A, you have no control. Like, I don't control when I'm going to go. I have zero control over that. I had plans of what I was going to do, this, that, and the other tomorrow, and yada, yada. And I very well could have not even made it to tomorrow. So you don't know. Like, you can get struck by lightning. You could get electrocuted. You could fall down some steps and break your neck. You could get in a car accident. It's so many things, so many ways that are totally out of your control of what can happen to you. So I formed a perspective of, you know what? I never know when I'm going to go. So you know what? I'm going to enjoy this life, and I'm going to have fun to the fullest extent until I go. So I did. So I just proceeded to just having a little bit too much fun. But it was the way I looked at the perspective I formed because of what happened. Now, I could have took the perspective also was a choice of, oh my goodness, I'm not safe. I can't fly anymore. I could have had all kinds of different perspectives. You know what I mean? It's 100 perspectives I could have formed off of that one situation, right? Now, I still had PTSD from the situation, obviously, but it's just the perspective I was using was shielding me from that, pretty much. So once again, you have to change you have to change your perspectives so that they can uplift you. Make sure you're forming a perspective that's going to benefit you. Don't have a perspective that makes you contract, because that's what happens the vast majority of the time. Look at the perspective of dating right now. It's horrible right now. Men don't trust women. Women don't trust men. It's a horrible perspective on both sides. So with that perspective, the individuals you're going to come across are going to match up exactly to how you believe. And let's say you do come across a good individual. What's going to happen is, because of that perspective, you're not going to see that good individual for what they are. Now you're expecting this person to do something that they're not going to even do because of the perspective that you hold. So now you might hold back. You might not show feelings. See, all this is because of that perspective you have. When you could also have a perspective of, you know what? There's a lot of crappy women out here. There's a lot of crappy men out here. But I know me. So I'm going to take my time, and I'll make sure that the person that I'm attaching my energy to is worthy of that. I know that there's a good person out there. I'll give you my perspective on relationships on the opposite sex. So for me personally, I've had a ton of not so successful relationships. And yes, I've came across women that want to play games and that that made me have that perspective. So it's just as many trash women as it is trash men out there. It's the exact same. So what happened is I formed that same perspective. You know what? Okay, so see, everybody's sitting out here playing games. So I did the same thing. So, but that was only because of what somebody else did. So I'm forming my perspective because of something that happened on the outside. No, I'm not going to form my perspective based on what somebody else did. Now, if I happen to let that person in, that person did some harm to me, then hey, 50% of that is on me because I had to let that person in order to do that. So what I can do is learn from what that person showed me so I don't have to go through that again. I don't have to change my perspective. My perspective is I put a lot of work into myself to get to where I am right now. A lot of work on myself. So my perspective is whatever energy, there's always, in this third dimension, there's duality. So if I exist as this version of myself, then my counterpart has to exist. So there will be females out there. Yes, it's not going to be a whole bunch, but it's up to me to decipher who is and who isn't. And now I'm equipped with that because I'm going to be able to tell because of the energy. You can lie all you want to, but you can't, their energy is not going to lie. You cannot hide your energy. Nobody's that good. You can lie all day, be the best liar, but your energy, you will not be able to hide because your intentions, that's energy. Your intentions, your thoughts, all that's going to be projected to the person. Now, I'm in a position now where I'm able to understand that energy that you're going to project. I don't have to go by what you're telling me. I'm going to go by the energy that coming to me. So my perspective is, I had to change my perspectives on everything because a lot of them were based on because of things that happen. So by having these negative attachments to it, I'm weighing myself down because that's not true. It's something I created. It's not the truth. It's just what I believe it to be. And when I changed it to what the truth is, everything is a benefit to me now. Everything is a benefit. I've had so many, and trust me when I tell you, life is going to give you plenty of opportunities to test if you're really about that. Because I formed all these different new perspectives and I voiced them out loud. Okay, this is how I'm going to move. I'm going to do this, and this, blah, 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 blah. So what happens is, don't forget, everything is energy and everything is also, your energy is constantly moving forward. Whether you're moving with it or how far you're behind that energy, but it's moving forward, AKA momentum. So if you spent the previous 20, 30, 40 years of your life having a perspective on something going a certain way, then you say, you know what? I'm going to change it today. You can, but you've built up 20, 30, 40 years of momentum. Don't forget that. This is where people slip up right here, is don't forget about that momentum you built. So that energy that you've agreed to and say, hey, this is how I see it, it's going to go that way. So when a situation happens, that energy is going to continue to go that way. You might still come across that person or whatever perspective you change. This is going to be the opportunity at that point for you to handle it from your new perspective, not your old perspective. You could look at it as a test or whatever you want to, but it's going to happen because you've already built that momentum up of the old way. So when you say, I want a new way, you have to stop and then go in a whole totally different direction. So when you stop, all that momentum's still going to have to come forward. So all that stuff is still going to come forward. And then when it might happen once and it might not happen again, but it might happen 2 or 3 times. And then that third time is okay. All right. They mean it. Then it's not going to happen. But that momentum that you built up you have to go through it. You have to. And if you hold strong, you will come out on the other end stronger. You're going to feel a difference. I promise you. You're going to feel a difference. When you make changes, positive changes that benefit you, and then a situation comes up and you handle that situation different than the way you handled it before, you're going to see. You're going to know. You're going to be like, wait a minute, hold up. Before I used to get mad at that. Dang. And you're going to realize the growth that you've experienced. But it's all going to be based on your perspective, how you see things. So choose the perspective that is going to benefit you. Like I said, the world is going to give you so many opportunities to see things in a negative light. That's what they want you to do. See things in a negative light and see things through the lens of fear. But once you do that, those are the things you're going to constantly attract towards you, because that's your perspective on life. I'm not telling you something I read in the book. I'm telling you something that I've already experienced, because I've done this, and I was on the opposite end of it. I had things constantly happening, and it was all based on my perspective. You'll find out when you start changing all these things, when you go within and you start making all these changes, all this stuff, all these difficulties, the majority of them pretty much were you. Like, they were you. The way you saw things. Change your perspective to benefit you. And I'll just leave it at that. And as always, if you got anything from this message, I ask that you go ahead and smash that like button. And if you haven't already, hit the subscribe. And I'll check you out in the next message.